Okay, this is the first meeting of the Legislative Committee for the Commission for Conservation of the Environment, and we are at the Broome County Public Library, Ahern Room, Saturday, February 8th at 1 p.m. Call the meeting to order, and I'll take the roll. Before I do that, Shreyash, would you be willing to be acting secretary for today? Because you're the only other member here.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll give you the names with the spellings afterwards of the people on the committee in case you need them. Okay. Richard Giannaccio here. Caitlin Cerna, absent. Shreyash Shvesta, present. I didn't say it right?
No, Shreyash. You said Shreyash.
Jeez. Shreyash Shvesta. And we have guest Sarah Chimides. Okay, Sarah Chimides. And the ex officio member, Rebecca Rathmill, is not here. Intros. Okay, since some of us have never met before, let's just, instead of going around the room, let's go down the column.
Okay.
Be precise here and just introduce yourself. Say a little bit about yourself and what you aspire to accomplish on the Legislative Committee. Shreyash?
So you want me to start?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Shreyash, freshman at Binghamton University. So I've been working with the commission since last semester. Firstly as a volunteer with like the upzoning law RL 24-162, and yeah, that culminated in a presentation with the Southside Neighborhood Assembly where we tried to inform the community about the negatives of the upzoning law and how it should be adjusted. And yeah, and this year, hopefully we get to do some similar work and also work on policy papers as well. So yeah, that's the target.
Well, I'm Sarah. I'm a junior at Binghamton, and I'm majoring in economics and environmental studies. You've heard this already, but
Speak up a little bit so.
oh yeah, environmental studies, and I am particularly interested in public policy, specifically environmental legislation, and interested a lot in advocacy and environmental justice. So I'm excited to work with the committee to learn more about how I can contribute to making policy papers even in the future.
Great, well, welcome to both of you. I look forward to working with you as well. And I'm Richard Giannaccio, and I am the commission member who showed up today to allow the meeting to take place. And well, we won't be able to take any votes really because we don't have a quorum. Well, actually, yeah, we do have a quorum because Shreyash is a committee member now. We do have a quorum. So the only person that's missing would be Caitlin Cerna, because you're not a committee member yet, so you don't count as part of the quorum.
Sure.
So you wouldn't be able to vote until you get approved by the whole commission. So any member of the, just to let the public know who's listening, any member of the public who lives in Binghamton is concerned about the environment can become a member of the commission's various committees, of which we have several, this being one of them. And Shreyash is such a committee member. To qualify, you just have to attend a meeting or two and then do a little work that shows an interest, a very deep interest in the issues we're dealing with, and at which point the committee chair will nominate you in front of the commission to become a committee member, and the commission will vote. There's 9 commissioners who have to vote on that, and a majority, of course, is needed for passage as any other motion. Okay, so that's our intros. Now I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Richard Giannaccio, and I've been a member of this commission since about a year now, although we didn't have our first meeting until April 11th of last year, but we was doing the appointments and things were being made, and we had to swear in and take the oath of office. And my background is that I have a bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry and a master's degree in journalism and mass communications, bachelor's from Hunter College, master's from University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I was in a special program called the Science Writing Program at the University of Wisconsin. So after college, I toured the country and I got to see all of the beautiful landscapes that we have, as well as some destruction that was done by mining operations and industrial operations, such as smokestacks and cooling towers for nuclear power plants. And I think that's when I really turned my biology education into becoming an environmental activist for the first time. And since then, I guess a couple of things that I would mention is that I was co-chair of the Restoration Advisory Board, which is a cooperation between the military and civilians to clean up contaminated Army bases before they are turned over for civilian use. So I did that for Fort Totten, which is located in Bayside, Queens. And we got the Army to agree to a cleanup, and that appeared in the New York Times, so we had a couple of good articles in the New York Times back in the day. Prior to that, when I was studying for my master's degree, I did some investigative reporting, and I found out that my university had some professors who had grants from the Defense Department, and a few of them were doing illegal biological weapons research, illegal in the sense of violating international treaties, and also chemical weapons research, which was kept very quiet from the rest of the university. In fact, the university, when I was there, hired a retired colonel who had connections to the Department of Defense just to be able to get funding, because he had connections there. So that's the revolving door between university and government. It's not just industry and government, it's unfortunately sometimes academia as well. So you can always look that up. That started a whole new controversy, and I won an award for that called Project Censored. And that's why most of my concern has to do with toxins in the environment, how we can create a more livable, species-friendly, life-friendly environment. And a lot of it has to do with changing some of our activities that pollute the environment. And some of those are very difficult to reverse, like nuclear waste, which has very short, very long half-life, thousands, even tens of thousands of years. So that's my background. I also did some high school teaching, so that'll come in handy when we go around to the schools, I'm sure. Okay, so seeing no public people here, you're still a member of the public, so why don't you, if you have anything to say about the committee? No? Okay. So we'll close the public comment period. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, so that's good. And election of officers. We'll need a nomination for chair, and then we'll do secretary. We don't have two commission members here, so there's no point in doing vice chair. Any nominations for chair?
Would be you.
Okay. So, I guess I'll second my nomination. That's like approval, right? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, and we'll put off vice chair until we have somebody here who's attending the meeting. I didn't get anyone saying they could not attend, so there's not an excused absence here. Secretary, I would like to nominate Shreyash, or Shrey as I like to call him. No, Shreyash Shrestha. Shrestha, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need practice. I'm good at remembering names with faces after I first see them, like I remembered you right away from yesterday, but sometimes with some of the names that are not so common, it takes me a little bit.
You've known me for like more than a semester.
I know, but I haven't seen you for a while now.
Yeah,
Seems
that
like
is
so
true.
long.
That is true.
That semester break, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got it wrong so much in the beginning that started to get fixed in my mind, you know. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, at least I don't have any acronyms for you.
Yeah.
Your full name is an acronym. What kind of a, okay. So, I'll nominate, and will you second the nomination?
Yeah, I'll second the nomination.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Okay. So, I will be the chair, and Shreyash, you'll be the secretary, Mr. Shrestha. Discussion of purpose of this group and mission. Well, last year, the city council came to us a few times, asked us to review legislation before they voted on it. And the first one was the Climate Action Plan, which you've seen, right? And the second one was a zoning proposal, which Shreyash referred to earlier. And in both those cases, the city council had to wait quite a bit because there was no committee working on it, so we just worked on it with the full commission from one meeting to the next, which are a month apart. And I proposed this committee to remedy that problem, whereby if something is given to the city council, from the city council, first they get it and then they'll turn it over to us if they think it's in our realm of, you know, consideration, if it has environmental impacts or whatever. And now the commission will be able to immediately refer it to a committee, and that should speed up the process by which we were able to give the city council feedback and not delay the problem so long like we did last time. Sometimes it went on for several months. And another thing that we could do is to be proactive, because the commission has been not happening for about 10 years. The city council can do this on their own. They make the appointments. But there were no appointments for about 10 years. That's before I got here. And last year was when it started up again. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we could do is to try to make up for, 10 years of nothing happening, and look around to other communities for ideas of maybe legislation that they passed to protect the environment, and we could learn from that and maybe suggest that similar legislation be passed here. Okay. So to start the development of a plan, I was thinking that we would have task forces like we do with our other committee, especially the ecotoxicology committee, but they might be a little bit different. For example, if the city council came to us with another zoning plan, we could set up a planning and zoning task force to deal with that. But that, once we get finished with that legislation, that task force may not meet again until another piece of legislation dealing with zoning comes to our attention again. See, or we might initiate something on our own, but more likely a committee like that may have to meet more than once a month to get the job done quickly, and then maybe not meet for months until something else comes up again. So it's a little different than your normal task force, which might just meet along with the schedule of the committee itself. And there could be other task forces that do fit into the monthly schedule. We try to have the committee meetings in close proximity prior to the commission meeting so that we can give a report that's up to date at that time, rather than have it after the commission meetings and have to wait for another month to give it to them when it might be, obsolete at that point. Okay. So I would like to set up at least a couple of one or two maybe task forces, just to get started and just so that we have members who are interested in the issue rather than joining for a particular project. See, and that's sort of a semi-safeguard. I mean, there's no problem with anyone here, but there could be somebody here that has a conflict of interest that's part of our group, right? And they, of course, should recuse themselves if they have a conflict of interest, but we don't want to give somebody the opportunity to join the task force right when the issue comes up, because that's where you're inviting people that might have a conflict of interest to join just for that particular issue. Right? Makes sense? So I'm going to, do you have any suggestions for task forces, Shreyash?
No, I don't have any suggestions for task forces, but I mean, I did have a suggestion for a collaboration we could do with the state senator's office, because I am in charge of event coordination there right now, and
okay, so
do you want me to go more in depth into it?
Well, in a minute.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make two categories here, which you could put into the minutes also. The first category would be task forces, and the second category would be what you call coordination. What did you call it? Collaboration?
Collaboration.
That's a good word, yeah. Collaboration. Collaboration with, let's say, county, state, and beyond, right? And it doesn't have to be just government too, it could be community groups, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Sierra Club or something like that. I'm just saying, if they are pushing for a type of legislation to protect the environment and we want to plug into that for our own location here, that would be something that we could think about, right? So I think it should be, with different levels of government, and also, but remember, we're not representing any views. We're just collecting information, and we have to bring it to the attention of the full commission for approval. As to whether or not we're on board with that. We as a committee are not going to be saying that we support something, but we just look into it and report back. This is going on at the state level, and is this something we want to be on board with? Is it something that we want to adapt into our own community here? right, basically. So tell us a little bit about what Senator Webb is working on that you're starting to mention.
So Senator Webb, like right now she's trying to plan out like she has community office hours, which is basically like letting the community be more aware of like resources that they have available, and they're set up monthly. It's around 2 to 3 hours, and I was thinking maybe most likely around March or April, like for Earth Awareness Month.
Oh yeah, April.
Yeah, April, and maybe
Well, it should
we
be
could do
12
something.
months a year, really.
Yeah, but I was hoping we could do a collaboration with both the state senator and the commission.
That'd be
the
great.
logistics of that would probably be done in like a month or so, and I'd have to get in contact with the staff there and see if they
Okay.
would approve the idea over there.
Yeah, that would be more with the commission. So, do you have dates yet or not?
The specific dates, no, but I can check the calendar right now.
Okay. You know, some of these issues we really do need to, you know, see what neighboring communities are doing and maybe inspire them and be inspired by them.
Mhm.
Works both ways. Okay, so for task forces, we could delay that till next time, putting the specifics. I'm going to suggest that we think about establishing a task force on zoning, planning, housing, because I think it's likely that more of those are gonna be coming up during the year. Especially with the recent zoning plan and also the tenant issues that are being debated now. They may have to be adjusted at some point. For example, they passed the zoning law, but they passed it without taking a lot of things into consideration. So it may need to be tweaked, as they say, right? Yeah, I think, you know, as far as the collaboration is concerned, it's more like the exchange of information. You know, we're not taking any positions unless the commission has voted on those positions. Then we can go and, you know, say this, the commission believes this, the commission supports that and doesn't support whatever. But we are not going to make those decisions. But what we can do for outreach is to share information, and that goes both ways, right? We learn and we teach. Well, we share. Right. Okay. So I think we can close that section now. That's a good idea. Any more? Any other ideas?
I don't know.
We can always add more next time,
Mhm.
okay? So now we'll go to committee member comments. Shreyash?
Some comments?
Yeah, comments.
I mean, I basically agree right now with all the task forces being formed, and if we are to add any, I mean, could we add any, like, that would focus on any of the work done by the other committees? So basically, like, the ecotoxicology committee, could we have a task force that's, like, helping other committees out as well? Like,
Well, yes, and the two issues that we could probably work on, because they have already been discussed, well, definitely the fluoridation, because that was approved by the commission. So we could could have a task force for that. And the task force for that would maybe work more with, in the direction of producing a policy paper to accompany the request for legislation, to make a stronger case, rather than just, a sheet of paper with a request for legislation and no information. So that's where that collaboration would come in. And the other issue that was not resolved last year, I mentioned at the beginning that there were two issues that were resolved last year. That was the zoning, and prior to that, the climate action plan. But the two that are like holdovers from last year are the fluoridation issue, which was voted upon. We voted to recommend the discontinuation of fluoridation by the city to this. We made that recommendation to the city council, and it was announced at the city council meeting. And the second one was this blue bag issue, which was introduced by a city resident to discontinue the use of blue bags for solid waste disposal, for garbage, in other words. And that resulted in some preliminary discussion, but the commission has not voted on anything yet. What we did do in our preliminary discussion was to say that, well, the blue bags is really part of a larger issue, solid waste disposal. And so other suggestions were made. My suggestion was that we take a look at San Francisco, because they don't use blue bags, but what they do have is they have composting. So in other words, we have two types of garbage in Binghamton. We have the recyclables, and then we have the blue bags, which has everything else. The biodegradables, the food scraps, in other words, and regular garbage that doesn't get recycled, right? All goes in there. But in San Francisco, they don't use bags. They have 3 bins. One bin has the recyclables, the other bin has the biodegradables that can be used for composting, the third bin has everything else. So that only that everything else bin has to be taken to a landfill, or however they dispose of it, which is, we take ours to a landfill. So right now we have to bring all of the biodegradables mixed in with the other garbage. Everything except the recyclables goes to the landfill. And it's the biodegradables that are, produce all that methane gas and stuff that, adds also to the tonnage, as well as, to environmental problems that it causes when it is degraded, especially when it's done anaerobically, which it is, because it's all piled up on top, right? So that would be the second issue that has not been acted upon yet, but they're different. They have to be treated different because the commission has not voted on both of them. So what we can do with the blue bag thing is to maybe gather some information and forward it to the commission for their consideration, to give them something to work with.
I have a question about that. So would we want to get in contact with maybe the director of solid waste management, or
The what?
The director of solid waste management for City of
It's called
Binghamton?
we have a Public Works, we call it here.
Yeah, Public Works.
Yeah.
I had to get in contact with them before for Binghamton Policy Project, a student organization, and we worked on the blue garbage bags, like the blue garbage bins, which aren't clearly labeled, and so.
Well, you can discuss with them what their experience has been and get opinions from them as to, what's working, what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But they just implement whatever policy is given them. They're not decision makers. So it's important to realize that, you're not talking to somebody who can do anything about it, but you are talking to somebody that experiences it on a day-to-day basis and can give you some insight into the, you know, the pros and cons, and even better if they were working, well, it's been a few decades now, I don't think they were working here beforehand, but if they were working in another community that has a different system, they might be able to give you a comparison of sorts. A few commission members did go to Cortland, because Cortland about a year ago switched. They dropped their blue bags. But Cortland is a different kind of situation because they don't even recycle their glass. So even though they dropped the blue bags, and they don't do composting either, so they dropped the blue bags, so they have paper and plastic to be recycled, and all the garbage that we put in the blue bags plus glass goes into their garbage. So that's even more going to the landfill instead of less. So I don't see that as an advancement of any kind necessarily. But like I said, that's my opinion. We haven't really come to a decision on the commission yet, and it kept being put on the back burner because other things came up. And the last thing we did was the zoning proposal near the end of last year. And prior to that, we did the climate action plan, which took several months. So, I'll make the final comment I would make is that I'm looking forward to working with you, and I can see that we have a lot of potential here and the ability to help streamline the process as well in terms of, you know, giving feedback on legislation as it comes in a timely manner. Also, any policy papers that we may need to generate where we feel it would be useful to provide information on issues that don't come up every day and people may need some kind of help with, you know, dealing with the issue. Because, you know, our city legislators, they get bombarded. If you ever look at the agenda, how much they have to deal with every 2 weeks. They meet twice a month. Okay, so I think we're done, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn. No, you make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, okay, all in favor? Aye. That's right, the chair shouldn't make motions.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off now.